Tyre Nichols was 29 years old. He was a father of a 4-year-old. He loved photography. He loved skateboarding. He was an athlete. He was very, very, very creative. He was loved by so many. He had been working at FedEx right there in Memphis. He'd been there for the last 9 months before his life was taken away from him by the Memphis police. It's morning time in America again. Everybody seems to be waking up. I have not seen the video, and you're not going to see it here. I'm not here to be an expert on what's on the video, just because of my life passion and getting rid of what's destroying our communities. And the police aren't protecting our children. They're not protecting us. They're killing us, and we're paying them to do it. And when I say it's morning time in America, with everybody waking up, we need to wake up. The truth is, Tyre Nichols happens every day. Last year, the police killed over 3 people a day. This year, Los Angeles Police Department had 3 deaths in a little over 24 hours. A couple of weeks ago in North Carolina, a white man, disabled white man, came to the front door, SWAT team outside, obeying commands. His hands were up. He just woke up. Police shot him multiple times. He had a security camera in his house, and cops, after they walked into his house, didn't have a gun or anything. They kind of notioned to each other that there's cameras there, but you know what they still did? They released the police report because everybody's saying, what happened? Why did the police shoot this disabled man? They said that he got involved in a verbal altercation with the police, a confrontation with the police. That's when shots were fired. He was charged with these things also. Well, you see the tape. None of this happened. But the police are so used to getting away with lies and having their way with us that they do it. I see on my social media posts, I saw on Facebook, somebody applauding the chief of police in Memphis there for doing the right thing. Is this so right, what she's done? Because she's done a whole hell of a lot more wrong. That was her Scorpions unit, her police department. And I guarantee those guys would still be out on the force. And a lot of people knew that they did that. And a lot more people knew that they've done it a lot of times before. But police will lie and they'll protect it. I didn't see the video, so I missed the part when the good cop comes in, steps in, and stops it from happening. That's bullshit. Because it never happened. It never happens. So I get tired of all the narratives. And these are the times when we've got to seize this moment, educate people when they give those narratives. And when you can't seem to get them to change their mind, just realize that they're probably racist piece of shit. We have a race problem here in America, and police uphold a white supremacy system. They have their way with the media. The media reports those lies that they give. Evidence out there to disprove it. But Tyre Nichols, his life mattered. That's why this video doesn't have the body cam. That's why I released Ben Crump's footage of Tyre's work and skateboarding. God, he's quite a skateboarder. The skateboarding community there in Memphis, I've heard lots of testimonies from lots of people that really miss him. I feel like I'm going down to Gulfport next week to be with the family of Jaheim Mcmillan and have some civil resistance, make some people uncomfortable. They haven't released the body cam, by the way, in that case. Jaheim Mcmillan was 15 years old, and he was shot in the head, the back of the head, by Gulfport, Mississippi police. Mississippi seems to be okay with that. There's a big community in Gulfport, Mississippi that's not. There's people from all over the country showing up saying it's not. We need to fight for Jaheim Mcmillan. We need to fight for Tyre Nichols. We need to fight for Quawan Charles. Quawan was 15 years old. In November of 2020, he went missing. Parents reported him missing. Police said, oh, he's probably at a football game. No Amber Alerts, no nothing. Find the body 3 days later in a sugarcane field. His face horribly disfigured. He was mutilated. They called it an accidental drowning. To this day, the family was out there in Baldwin, Louisiana protesting today. Has not seen the body cam, and there's nobody to get them to give it to him. This is happening every day. Well, you know, we had this moment in 2020 when George Floyd happened. With all the work that I do and all the references I used to George Floyd, because it was a moment. It was a moment in America. I realized I hadn't seen that video either. I can tell you what happened every minute. I know that he cried for his mom. I know that Tyre Nichols, who was less than 100 yards away from his mom, called for her. It's hard for a man to hear. I miss my mommy. I never saw the George Floyd video, but I've seen so many. I've been fighting for justice for Ronald Green since 2019. I've seen bits and pieces of that body cam. And from what I'm hearing from people, this is similar. Ronald Green Jr. was beaten to death by the Louisiana State Police. And they went on for a good year saying that he had died in a one-car accident. And combination of the accident being high up on cocaine killed him. His family knew that wasn't the truth. And then on May 19th of 2020, a little over a year later, the AP got a hold of the body cam that they were hiding and covering up. The truth came out. So this has been an exception. A lot of people say they were quick to act because the officers were black. You know, I'm told all the time that I make things about race. I don't think we need to make that about race, but if we are, let me tell you that black police uphold white supremacy just like all the police do. That's the way it is. I've never been a fan of ACAB, all cops are, you know, I didn't think it was good messaging. But you know, I can't think of anything more real. I'm sure there's some good people who go into policing because they're naive and they think they're going to go help their community. But if you're paying attention, you know I'm right. You get involved in that system. The good cop never comes in there and does the right thing. So we'll have the Democrats now. They're kind of arguing with the Republicans, which one can kiss the ass of the police more and be tough on crime. Well, if you're tough on crime, you're going to invest in your communities and do some crime prevention. Police aren't solving crimes. They don't prevent crimes. They kill people. They take away our rights. You know, one of the charges in that Tyre Nichols case is kidnapping. And if you're wondering what a kidnapping charge is, that means they are holding a man against his will. But police do that all the time, don't they? That's the district attorney there stripping the badge from them, saying they're not police officers. They're trying to take the police out of the equation, because that's what the police do every time, is they take away our Fourth Amendment, they take away our Fifth Amendment, they take away our First Amendment, and they're holding us. That's why people say, am I free to go? Am I being detained? Because you want to get away from that before something bad happens. So they give them the kidnapping charge there. You know, that reminds me. Jayden Prunty, that's less than 90 miles away from Memphis, over in Jonesboro, Arkansas, February of 2022, last year. Jayden, I believe, was 24 years old. He weighed about 120 pounds. He was a little black man. He was walking home from the store, and a cop rolls down the street, gets out of his car, hollers, probably about 40 yards away, has to yell, "Hey, what are you doing? I'm just doing some community policing." community policing. That's terrifying. That's terrifying. And trying to get to know the community, do a little drug introduction and stuff now. Hey, come here. And young Jayden Prunty smartly says, I don't want to come here. And he keeps walking. And he goes, no, I want to talk to you. He says he doesn't want to talk to him. He shouldn't have to talk to the police officer. So if the police goes after him, that would be kidnapping, right? Let's strip that badge from him. Well, what happens is he starts chasing him. While he's chasing him, because his body can's rolling, he throws out, I smell marijuana, which, by the way, isn't a probable cause to detain someone. Marijuana is legal medically in the state of Arkansas. You can smell it anywhere. And by the way, the what would be a dead body, because Jayden Prunty was shot in the back of the head later. There was no marijuana found, of course. But he was shot in the back of the head, execution style. He was hunted down, chased down. No charges brought forward for that officer. There's a video about that on my channel. The young man evidently had a gun. But listen, all these cases, what we hear is the police narrative all the time. That's what you hear. But he had a gun. Do you know how many damn people are walking down the streets with guns? Does that mean the cops need to just start chasing people down the street every day, and every time they find somebody with a gun, they're supposed to kill them? We're a Second Amendment state. We're a Second Amendment country. People have guns. Doesn't give the cops the right to shoot them, but it seems to if you're black. There's so many cases like Jayden. I mean, in Jaheim Mcmillan's case, that cop hasn't lost his job. He's out on the street with a gun right now. There's a killer out on the streets. He got out of his car, guns a-blazing, and shot a 15-year-old kid. And we can't get the body cam released. Let's use this Tyre Nichols situation so he can rest in power, and let's get some good done. Because defund police. Oh, the messaging's terrible. You're killing the movement. Oh, and the police whining all the time they can't do things because we defunded them. They didn't get defunded. Budget's up, higher than they've ever been. Uvalde Police Department not only has half that city's budget, they got a special big budget for school security. Which one of those 400 cops that were there was a good cop? Which one was it? Oh, it must have just been the Uvalde Police Department. Nope, the famous Texas Rangers were there. The Texas Department of Public Safety was there. It was like a cop convention. And they let that deranged kid would have made a good cop. Keeping it real. They let that deranged kid, while children were screaming. Why are we paying these cops money to terrorize us? Me seeing the tape of Tyre Nichols getting beaten to death, it gives me chills thinking about it. But that brings me back a trauma of imagining if I could see the Jaheim Mcmillan tape, or remembering the 5-second struggle that Ahmaud Arbery fought for his life, taking a swing after he'd been already shot once in the chest, fighting for his life. It brings back the trauma of a personal experience I've had with police violence. And to see comment after comment on Facebook, or my comments, look at some of my old videos, look at the things that people say to me. All the police departments last night sent out notices to the public. We're disturbed by the Tyre Nichols. This is not how law enforcement is supposed to act. Shut your lying faces. That's how all of you are. And you know it. And the police unions, who weren't backing up these black officers, but they did bail them out, they protect them every time. Remember, George Floyd, they weren't going to, that cop wasn't even going to go on leave. Derek Chauvin was not. The newspaper release, the progressive St. Paul newspaper said, man dies of medical incident in police custody. Having a knee on his neck while he says, I can't breathe, calling for his mommy for over 9 minutes. They forgot to mention that. The police sure weren't going to tell anybody, but there were 40 to 70 witnesses there who did see it. Every time we see him doing something is when something has to be done. But even in those times, something rarely happens. You know, in Mississippi, Tate Reeves has April as Confederacy Month. How could he get away with having that? It seems a little backwards, doesn't it? He says they can have it because systemic racism doesn't exist anymore. If you don't think about the water in Jackson that you can't drink, or if you don't think about Brett Favre stealing millions from families trying to feed their families in a state that already has difficult circumstances for families to get anything, and what they get is very little. Well, Brett Favre got a lot of it. Millions. No systemic racism there, though. Rasheem Carter, a young man, was being followed by a pickup truck full of white men. He went to the police because he feared for his life. After he left the police station, he went missing. They found his body weeks later out in a deer field, all mangled up. They called it, he died of natural causes. You know, most black men like to go out to deer fields and just up and die at 24. No systemic racism, Mississippi. Wonder how they're getting away with not releasing that body cam. That's fucked up. Before George Floyd, in February there was Breonna Taylor. February there was Ahmaud Arbery. We saw the video in May, so they had to arrest him. They knew what was on that video. They didn't arrest him. They didn't charge him with anything. But then we saw the video and we demanded. People say that protesting doesn't do anything. It's working. It matters. Mississippi with Jaheim Mcmillan, they're just waiting for this to go away. It's just not going away. The movement's growing. I wish you'd look into the Jaheim Mcmillan case. Family, that community needs your support. He's a 15-year-old kid. But Ahmaud Arbery, and then there's George Floyd. And then throughout the year, it just kept happening. Antoine Gilmore. Well, good, we got changes out of it. We didn't get any changes out of it. The day they convicted Derek Chauvin, Kim Potter killed Dante Wright. Last year we lost Amir Locke. I saw that body cam. Walked into a home, he was asleep on the couch. Had his concealed carry license. Was at his cousin's house, so he did what he was supposed to. He slept with his gun. Took them 8.5 seconds to shoot Amir Locke. Up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Patrick Lyoya, another person shot in the back of the head by the police. We see these things happen, but not much is happening. Speaking of the good cop, Jayland Walker over in Akron, Ohio, unarmed man who was shot at 90 times. I think they got him over 60 times. Which one of the 8 cops that fired those 90 shots was a good cop? Was it the one that said cease fire because he was out of bullets? Where's the good cop there, guys? No, nobody's been charged there. That's 2 hours away from a police force that killed Donavan Lewis, which 2 years before that, they killed Casey Goodson and Andre Hill in the same month. Casey Goodson was armed with a bag full of Subway sandwiches for his 5-year-old little brother and his grandmother. We have Jayland Randall down in Houston. I knew about Tyre Nichols. Good friends of mine have been hollering about it in Memphis since January 8th. When you saw those pictures, we knew. We all knew. The Memphis Police Department knew. They did not fire those officers. Everybody's applauding them for how swiftly they got fired. It took them a few days. How can that take a few days? And again, I think the fact that I haven't seen the body cam and I know what happened because I pay attention and I see it happening every day, every day. My condolences and thoughts go out to Tyre's family. I shared, like I said, that video, and I'm just moved by his life certainly mattered. And those monsters, they didn't act like his life mattered. Those monsters that are covering up for the monster who killed Jaheim Mcmillan, they didn't act like his life mattered. This Wednesday, Jaheim Mcmillan would be 16 years old. Let's use this moment. Let's write that district attorney in Memphis and tell him what a wonderful guy he is. Congratulate him on charging the police. Let's get other DAs to do the same thing. Wouldn't that be a good thing if people running for district attorney or prosecuting attorney said, I'm running to prosecute the police? Oh my God, that would be glorious. But they do just the opposite. Maybe that can get cool now. People've got to start demanding change. Don't elect officers. People are running for office. Ask them how they feel about police. They're the biggest problem facing this country. All of our money problems, all of our healthcare problems, our water problems, our education problems, all our money's going to the police and prisons. We're building more jails and destroying communities. We should be building communities and tearing down jails. I could talk about this subject forever. I just wanted to get on here and say where we go now is we start giving a fuck and we start doing something about it. Call the Mississippi Bureau of Investigations. Demand that they release that body cam footage. You know, I said I released the skateboarding video so Tyre isn't remembered by his last moments like George Floyd is and Ahmaud Arbery is and Dante Wright is and Amir Locke. I wanted him to be remembered for these wonderful gifts he brought to the earth. Well, unfortunately, all we've had is a police narrative on Jaheim Mcmillan. Let's do good and let's seek justice because we're not doing any good and there sure isn't any justice if we don't do something about policing in America. I'm an unapologetic abolitionist. We've got to abolish the police. We've got to dismantle that whole system. I'm not naive. I know we need law enforcement, but that's what we need. We need crime prevention. We need better communities. We're not rehabilitating anyone. They're getting a hold of people and they're keeping them. We lock up 1/4 of the world's population in this country, and we're less than 5% of the world's population. That should make us real safe, right? Because we do it so well, this policing that makes us safe and locking people up? No. We're the only country in the world that has people go into schoolhouses and shoot up a bunch of kids in front of the cops. What the hell do we have them for? Just to take our money, kill our kids? And we live in fear, look in our rearview mirror, praying we don't see those blue lights, but thanking God that we're not black. White people, do something. Thanks for watching my video. Please get out and do something. Please keep caring. Share Tyre's story. Share Tyre Nichols' story. Talk about his life. What happened after Tyre Nichols, Mom? You can say, we put a stop to that. Because I bet it happened again today and it's going to happen again tomorrow. We got to do something. It's on us now. Now you know. You know it's happening. Yo, Dre, I've got something to say.